Hello and welcome to Coffee with Keerthi. Today we have somebody very young and very inspirational. We have somebody who is one of the top voices on LinkedIn. She has a great following on LinkedIn. She writes awesome content. She talks about brands a lot. I'm actually amazed to see um, Radhika Bajoria on LinkedIn doing awesome work. So, welcome to Coffee with Keerthi, Radhika. How are you doing today?
Thanks for that introduction, Keerthi. I'm doing great and can't wait to, speak about various things with you.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So to get started, Radhika, I really am intrigued to know because we have a lot of audience who wants to become an influencer. You are an influencer on LinkedIn. You have more than 100,000 followers on LinkedIn. So the very first question is all about that. We want to know how did you reach more than 100,000 followers? Of course, you write fantastic. We'll talk about it. But tell us the secret sauce. The first question itself is about secret sauce of getting a great following on LinkedIn.
Yeah. So I think I don't believe that you need to have a huge following in order to become an influencer per se, because even a teacher is an influencer to a child who's been learning from the teacher for a long amount of time. So it's just a matter of time and the consistent efforts that you put in. So I don't think so that I'm an influencer per se, because I haven't individually really affected somebody's life to that extent that they will really be influenced with whatever I say or whatever I tell them to do. But I can definitely say that people enjoy reading my content, and that only happened with time. I gave myself time to understand what I want to write on and what my audience would love to read. Because at the end of the day, it's a social media platform. You need to be socially active, and you need to know what your social group wants from you in order to get that particular attention that you want. So I took time to figure that out, and my first post just got about 3 likes. And honestly, right now, after reaching 1 lakh plus followers also, sometimes my posts don't do well in terms of the traction, but I really don't look at it that way. For me, it's just that mental satisfaction I get after penning down every post. And I think that inner satisfaction has, made me write every single day for about 3 years now. And I think that consistency has paved a way for success, because I feel that many people are doing what they're doing right now, but not everybody gets, the required attention or the required traction. But I think the only thing that got me all the eyeballs was the way in which I was presenting content. You always need to have some unique proposition in whatever you do, and people only get attracted to stronger people, and people who have some value to offer. There are otherwise a lot of weak people in the world who are wanting to get sympathy or wanting to get attention. But if you're very genuine with whatever you're doing, if you love what you're doing, people will automatically love it because they can see it. It is reflected in your work. And I think the posts that I write on a daily basis are a pure reflection of that. I enjoy reading news on a daily basis. I pick up one of the topics of the news that I read and then I pen it down. And I really don't see it in a way to, monetize or to get many followers out of that content. Even if one person comments on that particular post, it has made my day, because I feel like that content has added value to that particular person who was reading it.
Right.
So even at the time when I just got 3 likes on my post, I was very happy in the fact that at least 3 people have given their time and attention to my post, then at least they might have taken something away from it. So, traction is just a part of it, and people have given it a lot of attention only because there's a lot of competition, and traction is the only metric to, determine who stands where. but I don't think so. I am in that competition. For me, competition is irrelevant. I don't see any competition anywhere because I'm very busy in doing what I love doing. So I think people can also understand that, because the kind of content that you write, people understand that why are you writing it for? Is it just to get eyeballs, or is it really because you want to add value to the ecosystem that you are in? So I think that people saw in me. That's how I built my loyal following over the years. It took me some time to understand that people might not really like always what you like writing on. So I adapted to that kind of surrounding. I understood my connections. I networked with the kind of people whom I would like to have in my connection request list. And I think through that it all worked out. And it may not really work out for other people as well, because everybody has their own secret sauce. If there was one particular secret sauce that the entire world would follow, it wouldn't have been a secret anymore. The only reason it's called secret sauce is because everybody has their own, and I'll let other people decide their secret sauce, because only then will it taste tasty for them. Otherwise it would just be some another thing just given it, just they've just inherited it. Wealth always inherited is not really enjoyable, but the wealth that you create yourself is something that you enjoy it. So I think everybody should make their own content, create their own niche, and identify their own audience, and I think that will help them achieve the kind of results that they desire.
Yeah, I think it's a bag full of secrets. What if given, if people are reading between the lines, they will understand what to what to write. But tell me
Yeah.
about this. Tell me about what kind of research you put in when you're writing any post, because I really like your post. Honestly, genuinely, I may not be liking, I may not be commenting, but I'm that new spectator who's reading your content. And I like the fact that when you break down things, right, you actually do a really good analysis of the stories that you present, the brand stories that you're talking about. Maybe it's just a news bite that you've taken from somewhere, and you have kind of broken down into pieces for people to understand well. And I think your posts are not more than like, it's of course, LinkedIn has its own character limit, character
Yeah, limit.
post, right? So, but that kind of information actually helps people understand the news, or the bite that you're putting on LinkedIn, very easy to understand. And I think there's a lot of work that goes in the background. Tell me about that. What do you do? How much
Yeah.
time do you actually take to pen that down and put it across? And I'm sure, see, because everybody puts a lot of hard work in the background that we not. So I would like to know what do you really do with those that information, and present it so well.
Yeah, so I think the bandwidth of time is a measure of experience. When I was inexperienced and a newbie on LinkedIn, it used to take me like 2 hours to read up on a post and then cut it down and analyze it in a way that I would like to read if I were the audience. So,
Mhm.
empathy is the biggest factor that you need to consider while penning down your post, because you have to step into the shoes of your readers and understand what they will like reading. I go through the news sites that takes me about an hour and a half to read all the news, because I don't just read news with the intent of writing. When I'm normally reading news, it's just that whatever interests me, I read it fully, and I just don't pick and choose the topics that I would like to write on. I generally build my knowledge by reading news on a daily basis, and something, if it interests me, I pick that up. I research what more was done around the particular topic in the past 5 years, or what is the future outcome of the particular news. So I do my research on that. That takes me about half an hour, and then when I've decided what I have to write on, it's easy to pen my thoughts down. So it hardly takes 15 minutes to write. But apart from that, the main time is consumed by the research. It takes time to go through all the news, then understand what will be the best suited news for today, and then cut it down, analyze each part of it, go into the present aspects of it, analyze the past and the future results of a particular news, and then, finally put it out. So I think you need to be very patient. I was very impatient in the beginning. And of course, if you're impatient, you'll get results which will not favor you. So, patience has its own fruits, which you will realize it once you experience it and implement it in your life. But I think, yeah, in total, it's about 2 hours that it used to take me. But right now, I try to finish it in hour or so because I need to do my other work also.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's the time.
And I was going through your LinkedIn, about you, and a line says that you believe in Richard Branson's inspirational line that says, "Screw it, let's do it." Right? So
Yeah.
you believe in this, and you're a natural content writer, right? So if there is somebody who's aspiring to write content, what's your advice to those people who are looking forward to write something? In fact, even advice to me, because I've been trying to write a book for like 2 years now, and I haven't been
Yeah.
able to write anything much. But what's your advice? How do you think anybody who's trying to write a piece of content, or maybe a book, or write something, um, what are the things that they have to do according to you?
So, it's in our human nature that whenever we've been told to do something or advised to do something, we will do opposite of it. So I wouldn't give any advice to anyone because I know they wouldn't follow it. So it would just be something that I have done personally. And if you are inspired from my story, of course, you can pick and choose, but up to you. You know, so you are responsible for your own actions. You shouldn't, put the blame on anyone that I heard the advice from this interview or I heard it from this person, but it really didn't work out. So all of that shouldn't be in the picture. But coming to your question, I think writing requires a lot of creativity and headspace. Unless you have the right focus and right thoughts, you really can't write. And that's the reason why most of the writers face this writer's block. They're just not able to write even though they have so many thoughts in their mind. And that so many thoughts creates confusion. Whenever you have a lot of variety in front of you, you really don't know what to pick up. Whenever you go in a DMart or a big bazaar, you just are confused. You want so many things and you just end up buying 2 3. But in case, in if you go to a specialized store where you want to just you know what you want to get, you will get from there because there are no really good variety available. So I think that's the same case with writing. You need to be very particular about the niche that you want to write in. First identify your interest in a particular area, and then go ahead and write on it, because you can only write as much in a particular field. But if you're not interested in it, I don't think so it will stay with you for a longer period of time. And once the confidence is shaken, once you feel like you won't be able to write, I swear it won't come to you ever again. It's a very shaky game, and it's a very thoughtful game. You really need to be mentally strong in order to be able to write on a regular basis. Most of the people, for them, traction matters. If they don't see it, they just stop writing it. For the others, it's their thoughts. If their thoughts doesn't allow them to write, they will be like, oh shit, I really can't think. How will I be able to write? And then they just stop writing even though they have the potential to write. So it's also important to surround yourself with the right kind of people who will guide you and tell you that you have the ability, but you just don't know the right path that you should be traveling. So
Mhm.
there needs to be somebody who should be giving you the direction when you feel like you're directionless or you don't know what to do. And I think that happened to me back in 2019 when I didn't know what to write on, because I started with philosophical content, and that really didn't work out well for me. Even though I still feel that I will write on it because it's something that I love it. It's up to the people, whether to like it or no. But it's my platform. I will write whatever I want to write on, and people who believe in the same ideology, of course, they will like. But each to its own. So my peers told me that why don't you just simplify the business content, because we already had the venture, the representative up and running in our college,
Mhm.
and we really present news in a simplified manner, and most of the college students really loved it. But we really didn't have LinkedIn presence back then, so
Mhm.
I created their page on LinkedIn as well, and I headed that. And then in the similar way, when I used to write articles for them, I used to post it on my platform as well, and I started seeing good traction on that, because I understood that people are liking such kind of content. You really don't get to read news in a simplified way. Newspapers just present it in a long and broad manner, and
Mhm.
you tend to get lost in so many of the articles. So it's better that you have someone that you can follow and rely on a daily basis for your news,
Mhm.
and understand it at the same time as well. So I started doing that, and I think once I understood that what my audience wants, what I want to write on, and what my niche is, it was an easy journey. And then I just used to find out the topics and start writing on it. So I think always focus on your quality over quantity, because in a bid to write more, write every day, people just lose out on the quality. And of course, everybody says that consistency is the key, it is the path to success.
Mhm.
Of course, people follow that, but they don't look at the things that go on the way, they sometimes people just think that, okay, this is the path, it's very easy, now I know everything, I'll just go on with it. But they don't understand that, what if there's a thunderstorm, what if there's an accident on the road, how to overcome it. So the person who has traveled the journey from scratch, they will know how to overcome it. And I think that's why it's very important to not follow anyone's journey, no matter how inspiring, how motivating it is. But it's important to create your own journey while listening to what others are doing or what others are saying. So I think I did that to myself as well. Although there were so many inspiring people on LinkedIn to follow, whom I still follow till date, but I still know what I want to write on, and I would never copy their style or would want to be like them, even though they're getting more traction or have more following, because I know that they are writing in their own style, which they're best known for, and I'm writing in my own. So even before I received this accolade from LinkedIn, I had that confidence that, I'm writing on something that I am satisfied with, and I think that's about it.
Awesome.
In today's chaotic and cutthroat world, uh, you really don't know that you will have a loyal following or no. Someday you will be on the top, on the other day somebody else would be on the top. So you really can't aim to be on the top forever, because expectations will always lead to disappointments. So why to disappoint yourself unnecessarily when you know that you're going to be facing a hurdle? So it's better to be satisfied with yourself, because at the end nobody stays with you but yourself and your own company, your own mind. So it's better to nourish your own mind and feel satisfied from within. So I think those are some things that I did, and I think people can also try doing it. If they like it, they can follow it, or else there are so many other paths that they can walk on.
Right. I think you are more philosophical than really business in your mind, because when you talk, words that come out of your mouth, it's mostly, you are philosophical. I don't know how, but I think, and since you also said, you have love for philosophy, right? Um, but getting back to your work, you're also a podcaster. Tell us about your podcast and what you do, how interesting it is, and how can we find you? Where can we find you on the podcast?
So this has an interesting story behind it. In 2018, while I was in my college in my second year, I was looking out for internships on Internshala, which is a widely acclaimed, student platform, and that's where most of the college students get their internships from. So there I had applied at a company called Astrum Labs. Although my role there was content writing, I ended up being a podcaster. I met the founder, and it was a really interesting meet. We just spoke naturally, and while speaking to me, he realized that I would be a good speaker as well, along with being a good writer. And he wanted to do something in podcasting, and he just thought that I would be the right fit for it, and that's how we started doing it. We interviewed some of the entrepreneurs in different industries. We invited them to our office. Sometimes we went to their office with our systems, and it was a really enthralling journey for me because that's how I built some of my connections and networks, whom
Mhm.
I'm still in touch with today. And I think these kind of podcasts, interviews that we do, I think all of these are just a good activity to network with people, to get to know them. And you never know who would be of your help someday. And help doesn't just mean transactional help. You can establish a good friendship with someone, you can establish a good human bond with them, so you don't know what will come your way. So always be open to exploring. And I took everything that came my way, even though I never had done a podcast. My leader back then gave me the faith that I can do it, and I can still be on the same foot as he was. So I think it's very important to work in a place where your leaders recognize the skills that you have and put you in the roles that you could be best in. Most of the times organizations fail and people don't perform well is because they just know what to do, but they don't know whom to give it to. Always responsibilities come your way, but how do you handle the responsibilities is up to you, and it's up to your boss who is giving you the responsibility. So I've always been surrounded by the right kind of mentors, boss, and leaders who guided me in the best possible way. And that's how I landed up doing different kind of things so far that I've done. I've done content writing, podcasting. I've also done event management at one point in time while I was in Times of India. I've worked with different set of doctors to organize their event. So I think such kind of holistical exposure at a younger age is better because that helps you develop general smartness that people look for in today's times. It's good to have technical knowledge and soft skills, but if you don't have common sense, people would just not
Yes,
talk to you.
absolutely.
And even though this is a very broad saying that common sense is uncommon, and I really believe in that fact because you might have people who are very accomplished, very well dressed, well spoken, but when you talk to them on a very generic topic, they really don't know what to speak on because they haven't seen it, they haven't experienced it. Experience appeals to your senses. You know how to act, you know how to think on your feet. But if you are just book smart, or if you've just known what you have known for years, I don't think so you can really upgrade yourself or upskill yourself. So I think, Kunal Shaw also in today's post, he wrote on this thing that, if you don't upskill yourself, you will face anxiety. And because of that anxiety, that's the first stage of, developing symptoms of depression, going into the realm of sadness, that leads you to leave your job. There are divorces, there are heartbreaks, so many things happen. And I think the root cause to that is nothing but anxiety within yourself that arises out of insecurity
Correct.
and something that you're not sure of. So it's important to be sure of what you're doing, who you are, and for that it's important to be surrounded with the right set of people. Again, I'll say this because we are social animals.
Yes,
No matter how much we say that we are not affected by what people tell us, we will still think about them because we are living in a society. It's
yes,
a community that we have to serve at the end of the day. So I think it's important to be satisfied with yourself, and also understand that there might be ups and downs, but I think if you just take everything that comes your way, you will be able to tackle those ups and downs. And you need to believe in the fact that there will be downs in life also. Even though you get high in life, there will be lows in life, because you can't just be a superstar. The Forbes rich list keeps on changing every day. Jeff Bezos was no longer the richest, you
right.
know Elon Musk took him over, and now the founder of LV is on the high. So
Yeah.
I think it's just very materialistic that people have started to, position each and every citizen of our, you know,
Nation.
of our world actually, because I think everyone should be a cosmopolitan. That only means that you are the citizen of the world and not just a metropolitan. That means that you're just the citizen of your state,
Absolutely.
because when you are the citizen of the world, you feel like home at everywhere in the world, no matter
Hmm.
whom you met, where you go. It's just like you're at home. And I think that's how you learn about different things, that's how you gain experience. And life is nothing about I mean, life is nothing but just about experiences. What will you even do if you don't get that experience? And I think all of the CEOs, all of business people, when they reach a certain stage, they've just achieved it all. What next to do? They've just reached at the destination. But those who are traveling a journey, they will give a strategic part to the organization. They will direct the organization in a way that everyone is experiencing something or the other. They're all always in a learning mode. So I think even I was in the learning mode while I was in my college, and that's how I took up podcasting as well. And I still am in a learning mode. You would be surprised to know that even though I've done my BMS, I am working in a law firm, and
Okay.
people find it hard to believe that how without doing law you working in a law firm. But I said it has happened and it is going good. So I think that has only happened because of two things. Again, because I take things that come my way, and when I take them as if it's my own. So having that sense of belongingness is very important. Otherwise, you will just feel left out.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think
Well,
that should precisely answer my thoughts.
so, you talked about some very important things. One is about common sense, and also you talked about human beings. Human beings are social animals, right? But contrary to that, in terms of writers, I'm saying a lot of people think that writers are always behind the books or behind their typewriter or behind their computer. They are not connected with the world. They are somebody, mostly the writers I'm talking about, the writer category. People have already categorized writers into a segment, that they are not social animals. They are not. They're somebody who is always alone, maybe in a room. If you think of a writer, he's somewhere with his typewriter or with his laptop or her laptop, somewhere sitting alone and trying to put their thoughts together. What do you think? Is that stereotyped already? Are writers like that? Or writers, there are all types of writers. What do you think of
So I think it's just the way you perceive. In your perspective, you think that they're alone, but for them, they're just living their life. Because when they sit alone, they have so many things to experience within themselves that they can't even start to tell you about, and that's why they write about it. Because if they start speaking about it, everybody would be interested in knowing how their life is and how do they do things in the way they do. And because they're not able to cater to so many people, they just write their thoughts down and then publish it wherever they want to. And I think that writers are great observers, and that's how they experience different things in a different way that others don't. So I think me being as a writer, even I observe things a lot. I take inspiration from each and every incident that I encounter, be it on the road or in an office of a particular CEO. There is so much to learn from your surroundings, but when you have a keen eye, when you have an observing eye, only then will you see what is there in front of you. You really can't show a blind man the picture that you are holding in your hand, you know, unless he really believes that he can see through, even through his blind eyes, and imagine what you're holding. So I think it's the belief and the faith that you put into people that makes them see what they cannot see otherwise. So I think to answer your question, writers really have a beautiful life. They are content with themselves. They really don't need these this kind of a social acceptance, or they don't want any kind of fake publicity. People are craving attention life, right, left, and center these days, because they don't have anything else to do, and they think that if they gain attention of the public, they will at least have something to engage into. So it's very important to keep yourself busy, to keep your mind busy, because an empty mind is a devil's mind. Of course, it will target people only, and this is a very popular saying that says that only weak people discuss people, and only strong people will just ignore people. So writers, I think, have a strong heart. They have a very strong mind as well, because they spend a lot of time with themselves, and writing in itself is a kind of a meditation for them. And they don't really need to go out in the Himalayas, put pictures on Instagram and say that, I'm meditating, I'm here out for a holiday. They really don't want to do that. And I don't think so that they are introverts. If that would have been the case, we wouldn't have the writer's name on front of the books when they would have been published. We wouldn't have the writer's name in everywhere their column is published, or everywhere that they write. But there are many ghost writers that exist today, but I don't think so that is out of any insecurity. It's only because of different commercial reasons that they might have engaged into. Some people are very curious and diplomatic with their thoughts. They would want to support, for example, BJP, but they can't really openly write about it, and that's why they choose to hide behind the cover. But that's not their intent. If you go and speak to them individually, they would be like, we would openly talk about this issue, but the society doesn't widely accept our thoughts, and that's why we just try to step back and just sit in a relaxed way. Because writers, if they have a sense of chaos in their mind, they will just lose it. And like I said, once the confidence is lost, it's lost forever.
Absolutely.
So I think they just keep themselves aside from this chaos of the world. They want their own inner peace, and that's why they shell in, instead of socializing a lot. But having said that, they observe every kind of person, every kind of a creature that exists around them, and they just think that the world is for them. They never sense that they need an entry to go somewhere, or they need a particular contact to get into somewhere. They really don't believe in this power hierarchy or authoritative kind of an environment. They're just anarchians. They love to be in an kind of an anarchy organization where there's no hierarchy, where there is democracy, where people are allowed to do what they want to do. And I think writers, by their nature itself, are supposed to be in that way. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to create such imaginary things and write on the things that they do today.
Mhm, mhm. No, I think also, that writers are the most important part of any story. When I say story, I talk about the whole world, even the inception of it. Why? Because, unless a story is written, it cannot be enacted, it cannot be performed, it cannot be shown to the world, right? So if you have to look at a movie, a movie cannot be made without a writer. A book cannot be, read to somebody, or somebody can't be reading stories without a writer penning it down. Or even to the fact that the songs, the music that we listen to, right? They have the wonderful words that come out of the writer's lyrics, or when he or she pens it down. I think that's the inception of most of the things around us, right? If we have to talk about a product which has to be nicely presented, it has to be the writer who writes it first, and then it's presented to the world, right? So there is a writer always there for everything in the world, for everything, right? But now moving from the writer's paradise, I want to, kind of talk to you about your aspiration. I read somewhere on your LinkedIn profile, you wrote about being or aspiring to be a journalist, right? So journalism is something close to your heart. So tell us about
Yeah, I think even if I would have achieved a position of being a journalist in a top media house, I would still write there that I aspire to be a journalist, because the journey is just never ending. And
that.
I think when you believe that the journey is never ending, that is when you just keep on learning and just are curious to know everything. Because the moment you think that you have reached somewhere is the moment that you will stop learning, and then just stop adapting to the things that come your way. So although I am the editor at the representative, and I am a journalist in a way, but I still think that I have that aspiration to become a really good journalist one day, because I think that jo- aspirations are not dreams or actions that you would want to take, but it's just about upskilling yourself, about learning on every single day. So I think every day that I write news and read news on it, just a day where I'm practicing journalism. And I think practice makes a man perfect. But although the definition of perfect is not really perfect yet, it's different for everyone. So I think I'm still an aspirational candidate for journalism, but I think it's never ending and it would never end. The journey will go on and on. And yeah, I really don't have a particular definition of what journalism is. It's just the way in which I express my thoughts, in which I would love to observe different things, and the way in which I would like for people to interpret my articles and then give their critical feedbacks or suggestions on it. So I think I'm very socialistic in nature that way, and I love to hear what people have to say on what I write or what I think. And it's not because of any kind of judgmentalism, but it's just my curious mind that lets me think about how people are interpreting the same thing that I am interpreting. So I think that mode of that mode of interpretation leads me to become a journalist every single day, and I think I will keep on being a journalist in my last breath also.
Do you have a, role model for, in terms of any journalist that you follow, who you want to become something like that journalist? Also, a follow-on question is, who's your role model in terms of being a writer? Is there a writer that you really follow, or in general, any role model?
Yeah. No, actually, I wouldn't want to be like anyone, because that's such a stress and that's such a burden on your shoulders, that you would want to be like someone. And what if it doesn't turn out in the way that you would want to be?
Mhm.
And, you just lose confidence. And I don't want that to happen ever to me, because you cannot be comfortable in anyone's home. You just can only be comfortable in your skin. So even though your relative is calling you at their place and telling you that be comfortable, have a comforting stay, you still would be hesitant and reluctant to stay there, because at the end of the day, you would want to go and sleep in your own home, in your own place, and that's where you are the most comfortable. So I think that's the same when it comes to our thing that, whenever you want to do something, just do it in the way that you will be most comfortable in. And what was your question again? What
The
was the second part
the
of it?
role model, any
Role
role
model.
model, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. So that's the reason I don't have any role models, because I don't want to be living in their souls, or I don't want to aspire to be like them. But it's always good to take ideas and suggestions from the people whom you like, whom you hear on a daily basis, or whose working style do you like the most. So I think taking cues from everywhere makes you a holistic person. In today's world, you just can't be following a particular person and become like them. It's important to be dynamic, because it's a very fast paced world, and people will just think as if you never existed if you don't match up to their pace. And that's why it's important to learn from everywhere but be yourself. because there's only till a point that you can pretend to be someone else or pretend to be like someone else, but at the end of the day your own genuine self will help you travel a longer path than being someone else. So it's important to have the quality of being empathetic, that is being in other shoes, and think how others think, but at the same time it's important to not lose out on who you are and not lose out on yourself. So
That's
I don't have any role models, but the people whom I follow and watch closely is Shereen Bhan. She's a managing director and editor at CNBC. I love the way she conducts the interviews and moderates the discussions. It's not scripted at all, although some of the things that she needs to remember, of course, she has a paper in her hand. But at the same time, she's very candid about the fact that she's looking at the paper and then reading about it. There's no false pretense, or there's no facade that she's putting out. It's very natural and it's genuine. So I think genuinity attracts me a lot, and whosoever I see that in, I just try to learn from them, and those people are my role models. So I don't see people as my role models, but their attributes really attract me sometimes. But that was one for journalism. In the writing field, I think Kunal Shah, although he's the founder and a serial entrepreneur, I think he's a great writer as well. Although he just writes one or two lines, but that holds really deep meanings hidden in it. And I think he measures his word while he writes. It's not that long paragraphs he will write and he will put a suggestion in the end, but it's just some experiences that he puts out in bits and pieces that really last long in my mind and helps me think over it. It's just not a story that he portrays, but something that will make people think and brood on. So he's one of the writers that I really admire. And the other one is Naval. He's also a really great writer. You can follow some of his tweets on Twitter. He really writes some interesting philosophical content, which is again my main area of interest. And apart from that, I follow Ankur Warik's content also. He speaks candidly about his business experiences, the kind of life experiences that he's had, and he also explains financial terms in the simplest possible ways on his YouTube channel. So I watch him also closely. So these are some of the people that I'm following lately, and keep on watching the CNBC interviews that Shireen takes place with different kind of directors of various industries and chains. I just learn from whatever they say, how they conduct themselves, and what they've done in their life to reach a position that they are in. So I think no particular role model, but every day it's a new learning experiences, and that's what I just look at.
awesome, awesome, awesome. There's a lot to learn from you, Radhika. And since we are running out of time, I have a last question, and this is a one-liner. I
Yeah.
want you to give one line advice, suggestion, or anything that you feel for youngsters who are just graduating from college and they want to, explore the world, they want to experiment, and they want to do well in their life. What would that one line advice? I know you're not somebody who wants to give advice, but still, because you've done. I
Yeah.
believe that you've done quite a good, lot of good things already that you've talked about. But it will be something that people would want to really know. So give us one liner. This is a difficult
Yeah, so
question.
college students are, yes, college students are generally very curious. And some students, while they're curious, some of them are really silent, and they're just a result of good parents. Whenever you have good parents, you have very secure children. You will always see them with some kind of fear, some kind of insecurity, because they've never experienced the kind of world that others have experienced who were exposed to it. So there are two set of people, and for every kind of person the experience level matters and differs, but it's important for both the categories of people to have the right kind of people around them in order to get ahead in life, because during college years people really don't know what they want to do, even though some of them may have big dreams, aspirations and goals. They end up doing something else, and that's only because they were not concrete with what they want to do, and because they didn't get the right direction. We say that we are self sufficient, it's good to decide by yourself, but we need to also accept the reality that you're just 18 or 20 years old. You haven't seen life enough as others have. So
Hmm.
it's good, always good to listen to what others are saying who are experienced in the same field that you want to get into. And it's not always right to listen to everything that your parents say. It's good to sometimes reject and say no to the things that you don't agree with or comply with. And that's the learning that most I have learned through my experiences. And I think most of the students, although they are rebellious at home, when they go, they just agree with whatever their parents say. And parents, not always they're right, because they also come from their own set of experiences. They really care for you, and they will say everything that is good for you, but you know that what is good for you nobody else will know, not even your parents. So it's important to be a good decision maker, and to take that decision you need to surround yourself with the right kind of books, people and your friends. During college people have this tendency to form groups, to be a part of groups, to go to concerts, just tag along with your friends wherever they're going. But it's important to be mindful of every kind of choice that you're making. But by that I don't mean that you stop yourself from doing different things. You of course need to see everything, you need to see failure, you need to experience pain, you need to experience a heartbreak in order to understand the struggles of life, because everything is not easy. And in college, of course, everything comes easy. You have lectures only for 3 to 4 hours for some people. After that, you have life to yourself. You can do whatever. Some people choose to do internships, while some people just choose to chill, which is also fine, because that also gives them a certain kind of experience that the other people might not have. So it's important that everybody just does the kind of things that they love doing. But it's important to not lose out on yourself, because many a times people think that, oh, this person is not giving me enough attention, am I good enough for that person, or is there any other fault in me that the person is not giving attention, or what is it? So I think you have to be comfortable in your own skin and constantly upgrade yourself with whatever, not necessarily that you have to be a topper in your class, or you need to be the smartest chap in your group, or you need to be your teacher's favorite. But just be open to everything that comes your way, just have an open mind, learn everything, understand people, because that will take you a long way. Whenever you enter an organization, you will just have a particular set of people working in a different industry, but when you're in college you have the opportunity to see a diverse set of crowd, to learn from each and every person and to understand how they behave. So it's the human behavior that you learn during your college years, if not anything else. So I think focus on doing that. It's a very enjoyable task, and there is no set process to it or a methodology, and that's why I wouldn't delve deeper into it, because if I will be speaking more about it, it would look like it's a particular theory that I have followed, and it's something that people also need to follow. But that's not right. Everybody should follow what their heart says.
Mhm.
And many people lose heart. They don't know what to do, they are very blurred with their goals, and that's fine. And for that reason I think we should have people who can guide them. I've seen many college students go to counselors at such a young age. They're facing mental issues, depression and whatnot, but they also are the people who come up the hard way and also earn their position in whatever they do. So I think everybody has their own destiny, luck, hard work, hardships that they go through. But it's important to realize that everything that is happening for good. If you have that mental mindset, you will accomplish things, and you will also have the power to make the decisions, like I said. So it's that's the only thing that I would like to say for people who are in their college, that enjoy your college life, enjoy it to the fullest, but also be mindful, and also just be a good observant. It will teach you a lot. Books can't teach you as much as your eyes can teach you. So just have an open mind and an open eye to whatever you do and whatever you see.
Awesome, awesome. An open eye and an open ear, and be open to the world, right? Fantastic. Radhika, I'm really glad that we had this discussion. I enjoyed it thoroughly, and there's a lot of things that I'm going to go back and you know look at what all you said, because it's a lot of things that you have told in this in this 1 hour of discussion, and I think there's a lot of things to learn from you. You're very inspirational. Thank you so much for being inspirational, because people like you help others in a lot of ways that you might not know. People read from you, people learn from you. Thank you so much for everything that you do on LinkedIn and on other social media also, platforms also. So, and thank you very much for coming on Coffee with Keerthi. It's been a wonderful discussion for me. Thank you so very much.
Hello, thanks a lot for having me, because it's like you trigger my mind to think about the things that I wouldn't have otherwise. And the questions that you asked were really triggering. And, it led me to think on some of the things that I hadn't thought of before. And that's the beauty of having candid conversations. You never know what your mind would tell you to speak on. And I think that has happened with me also right now, and I really feel that I have just traveled back in time. I've just relived my college years, and now I really feel great about it. So it's good to have such kind of interactions, because it just gives you a good reflection of your past, your present, and your future as well. So thanks again for this. It was great speaking to you, and look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you so much, Radhika. I look forward to talking to you again. Thank you so very much. Bye.
Yeah, thanks.